most bodies of water across the world remain unexplored, uncharted, and unseen by our eyes. This may be shocking for you to know, but only less than 5% of the ocean has been explored and charted by humans. It is almost impossible to find a lost ship or plane that sank into the deep ocean, such as the MH370. But a group of treasure hunters found a mysterious object during their search for lost treasure and artifacts. The object was believed to be a 140,000-year-old ancient alien spacecraft. This is a story about the discovery of the Baltic Sea anomaly. The Baltic Sea is an arm of the Atlantic Ocean located in northern Europe and surrounded by 9 countries: Denmark, Germany, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Russia, Finland, and Sweden. It has strong winds and waves all year round, and the climate is cold. So many ships have sunk here since ancient times. The ships sank so many culturally and historically significant treasures that are priceless to mankind. The Baltic Sea can be considered a treasury of underwater cultural heritage, as well as a massive underwater museum. It is believed that the Baltic Sea and the Gulf of Bothnia hold more than 100,000 shipwrecks. Thus, it attracts a lot of treasure hunters to search for sunken ships and their treasures. In June 2011, the Swedish-based Ocean NUKE, the treasure hunters Peter and Dennis, were out on a typical day exploring the Baltic Sea when a very unusual image appeared on their sonar. They saw a mysterious 61-meter diameter and 8-meter tall circular object. The seabed is generally flat, but it was like a tree stump growing out of nowhere, lying on the flat seabed. Peter and Dennis were excited by what they found and started to analyze the enormous anomaly. Its diameter was exactly the same as the modern Boeing 777's wingspan. But by looking at its circular shape, it was definitely neither a ship nor a plane. As soon as they published the image, it went viral in the media all over the world. At this point, some extraterrestrial enthusiasts started to think it was an actual alien spacecraft, and some say that it looks very similar to a Millennium Falcon from the famous movie Star Wars. In the movie, the diameter of the Millennium Falcon was nearly 35 meters, much smaller compared to the Baltic Sea anomaly. Even though the image of the anomaly was published, the coordinates were kept secret. It is resting on the seabed at a depth of 90 meters, which only professional divers could reach. On the 1st of June 2012, the day after they found the anomaly, OceanX's team organized an expedition with the aim to get a clearer image and collect samples of the anomaly. To make sure that the divers were saved from chemicals, mechanical objects, or poison while approaching the anomaly, an ROV was sent to the seafloor to examine the surroundings of the anomaly and retrieve material from it that can potentially be analyzed. When the ROV was approaching the anomaly, it malfunctioned. They retrieved the ROV, and when the ship was above the anomaly, anything electric and electronic stopped working. When they got about 200 meters away, everything turned back on again. It seemed similar to an EMP device. Since the ROV is an electrical device and does not work when it is near the anomaly, the only solution was to send divers down. Stefan Hoggeborn, a professional diver who has the experience of about 6,000 dives, dived down to the anomaly with another diving partner, Fredrik. To make sure the rest of the crew were able to communicate with the divers, The ship maintained a distance of 200 meters away from the water surface above the anomaly. It was foggy on the surface, and under the water at a depth of 90 meters, it was complete darkness. The divers had to rely on their head torches to navigate in an environment where visibility was only about 1 meter ahead. When the divers reached the surface of the anomaly, it looked like concrete. The strange thing was that when the divers touched it, the surface turned black. The diver, Stefan, saw something that looked like a burnt or melted plastic, and began to cut it with a hammer and a chisel. Suddenly, the lights went out. Geologists believe that the anomaly was a volcanic rock and it has been transported there by glaciers due to the extreme cold weather of the northern Baltic during the Ice Age. But how can the anomaly's weird shape with sharp 90-degree angles be explained? They later found that the retrieved rock sample was composed of magnesium, iron, and titanium, which is very rare to be seen in the Baltic Sea. It is unlikely that the object was a naturally occurring rock, but rather an artificial object made by someone or something that was possibly created 140,000 years ago. Could the Baltic Sea anomaly be some sort of highly advanced vessel? Can it be that aliens came to Earth 140,000 years ago? Or were ancient humans a highly technologically advanced civilization and able to craft such an object? Or was this entire anomaly a crash site of a top-secret airborne vehicle forged by the Nazis in the 1940s? If this saucer-shaped object was truly some form of vehicle, we could hypothesize that the vessel was equipped with anti-gravity features, just like what the US government addresses as a UFO or currently the UAP, Unidentified Area Phenomenon. Did the Ocean X treasure hunters find evidence of a UFO or a UAP? Some say the Operation High Jump project was an expedition by the US Navy to discover the Nazis' secret UFO construction sites in underground bases in Antarctica in 1946 and 1947. It is said that the German Nazis supposedly had a successful attempt of developing advanced flying saucers, the Honnebu series, prior to and during World War II, and that they crashed one of them in the Baltic Sea for an unknown reason. One of the Ocean X enthusiastic followers restored the corrupted data from the multi-beam sonar. He was able to put together new, unique 3D images that revealed a large part of the surrounding area of the anomaly. The images showed something absolutely astonishing. There was a trail behind the anomaly, which leads to an underwater mountain located 1,500 meters south. Here, they discovered another trail, and they followed it. At the end of the second trail, there was a second anomaly, which was 200 meters away from the first one. Its resemblance to the first anomaly was striking, which could mean that they were in some way connected. Some say that the two objects in fact originated from a single UFO, which had crashed into the Baltic Sea, hit an underwater mountain, split into two, created two trails, and stopped 200 meters apart. No one knows who this UFO belongs to: ancient human civilization, advanced extraterrestrial life, or maybe even the Nazis. A UFO flying above the Baltic Sea seemed to appear again. During the summer of 1977, when the Swedish fighter pilot Sven was flying a J-35F Draken on a routine flight exercise between Åland and Gotland, he received an order from the Battle Command to identify an unknown object that appeared on the radar. When Sven got within range so that his radar could get locked on this unknown object, he saw a UFO that was basically stationary. On his radar, the object had a speed below 100 kilometers per hour, while he was flying at Mach 0.9 at the 1000-meter altitude. When Sven entered a distance of 10 kilometers, the object began to accelerate straight up. He turned on the afterburner and followed it to try to get as close as possible to it. When he climbed to 10,000 meters of the chase, the object disappeared from his radar range and went straight up into space and gone. What could go from stationary to an incredible speed straight up into space that no fighter jet could follow? If it was not a flight exercise, could anyone else encounter UFOs over the Baltic Sea? It has been 11 years since the first discovery of the Baltic Sea anomaly. Yet, OceanX has no idea of what exactly it is, and no one else has a better clue. There is no better progress whatsoever. But one enhanced sonar image picked up a hieroglyphic symbol of a square with a circle in the center, which reads as Indra, meaning Jupiter the One, in Atlantean hieroglyphics. It was also found in two different locations and times: a 19,000-year-old La Côte Cave, located in France, and the Puma Punku megalithic temple, which was constructed 11,000 years ago in Bolivia. Some say the anomaly is a part of the mythical underwater city of Atlantis. Some say it is a megalith, a sort of submerged Stonehenge, like the Yonaguni monument in Okinawa, Japan. Or is it the mysterious Nazi flying saucer, Honebu, which was built prior to or during World War II? Or was it an actual spacecraft of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization from a distant star that literally came to our planet for a mission, but has somehow crashed into the Baltic Sea? Until the day when another Baltic Sea anomaly expedition is organized, all remains a mystery.